There we go. Okay, so here's the sign I'll be using today. I'm going to do a autism themed wreath. This one says, society says I'm autistic, God says I'm perfect. It also has the little puzzle pieces on it. This is a wooden sign. It's a 10 by 10. And the links for where I purchased all of these supplies will be listed in the description for you to go back and take a look at if you'd like. So I have my wreath frame, 18 ties, 10 on the bottom and 8 on the top. I spaced mine out about 4 to 4.5 inches, just depends on how I want them. I do have a video on my YouTube channel if you'd like to take a look at it on how I put my wreath frame together. So I've got my 21-inch mesh that I'm going to use over here. This is a Basketweave mesh. This will be my base. We're going to use this to do poofs. So let me put that over here. And then we're going to use some curls, and I'll show you how I do these curls. I have most of them already bundled up, but I will show you how I do a couple of them. And I've got yellow and blue and red and turquoise or light blue. So we'll be using those along with our ribbons. And the ribbons that I chose for this wreath are mostly 1.5 inch ribbons. I have a light blue or turquoise with the little pattern on it here. I'm not quite sure what kind of a pattern that is. Then I have a yellow with the square or plaid stitch on it. It's kind of hard to see, I'm sure, in the light. Then we have our blue with the polka dots, the royal blue. And then we have our red with the white stripes. We'll be using those. Those are all 1.5. And then we're going to use a 2.5 with the puzzle pattern on it. And we're going to use that in every tie. So let me put these to the side and we'll get started here on making our poofs. And if you all would do me the honor of subscribing to my channel, I would really appreciate that. Just hit the little bell icon and turn on your notifications, and that will let you know when I post a new video or when I'm live on my YouTube channel. We also have a bow that I made beforehand, and we will fluff that out and cut our tails when we put that on the wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my poofs. I like to look for where I have 2 ties just off from each other from the top and the bottom. I start on the top and then I go to the bottom, so I want that bottom tie to be near there so I can make that transition pretty easily. So I'm going to take my 21-inch mesh here and I'm going to gather it up to get it started. And then I'm going to put this in my tie and I'm going to zip tie it down. So I'm going to start in this yellow tie. And I tried to coordinate my ties with my theme or with my mesh, and because this is going to be a colorful wreath, I decided to go with the primary colors for my ties. So I'm going to go ahead and zip tie this to the ring. I'm doing the middle ring, or what would be the 3rd ring from the bottom. And we're going to zip tie that down and just pull that tight so that that mesh doesn't go anywhere. We don't want the pipe cleaner to come undone and that come loose and the mesh come off or anything like that. So I will cut that off, and then we will start our poofs. And I like to measure. You want to make sure that you tuck your ends under. That makes for a nicer poof. So tuck that under, and I'm going to do 12 inches. And this is a very pretty blue basket weave, and it's called a basket weave because it's got the open weave to it. And then we want to just pull those poofs out, open them up, and keep your ends tucked under. So there's the first poof. And then we will just keep doing that all the way around. Now when I put my ties on, like I said, I like to do them about 4 to 4.5 inches apart. That gives a nice full coverage. Some people prefer to do 5. It just all is a matter of personal preference. And like I said, I do have a video that shows how I do my wreath frames. I make the majority of my own wreath frames. It's just what I like to do. I don't have anything against the pre-made ones, and I do use those on occasion. But I just like to make my own. And you can use a number of different things for the ties. During the holidays, I'll use the tinsel ties. Gives a little more of a Christmas feel. You can also okay, so here's where we started. There's our red tie. I'm going to bring those ends out, and then we are going to put one last poof right in here. That's where we started. And then we will tie that off, and we will cut off our mesh. Now we didn't use the whole roll. We used a little over 6 yards out of a 10-yard roll. So the rest can be used for other projects, or if you have more of the same mesh, or you can use it to make swags, smaller projects, smaller wreaths. Now if you did 10-inch, you would still come up probably a little short, because when you take into account where you're tying it, you're still using more than half of your mesh. Alright, so I'm going to pull this out a couple of inches, and I'm going to cut this off. There we go. We'll move this out of the way since we don't need that anymore. Now, where I cut that end, I'm going to take that and I'm going to tuck it underneath my wreath, right here. Pull it through the rings. Kind of thick, so I got to push it through there. And we're going to zip tie this right down to the frame again, so it doesn't move and doesn't come undone. So I used a total of 3 zip ties for this. And remember, this is just how I do it. Doesn't mean you have to do it the same way. I'm just showing you the way that I do it. Do whatever works better for you. There are no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever is best for you. Clip that off, and we want to twist that around because I don't want that scratching anybody or scratching their door, anything like that. So I want to make sure everything on the back here is tucked in so that nothing will scratch my customer's door. We'll turn this back over. I'm going to finish pulling this poof out. And then we can start on our curls. So instead of doing a ruffle in each tie, I'm just going to add in these curls because I want these colors to match from my sign. So here again is my sign, and I like these primary colors, so that's what I've matched. So I put my yellow and blue together and my turquoise or light blue and red together. Okay, and let me show you really quick how I do the curls. You'll need a chip clip or some kind of clip to help hold it. And I have issues with my hands, so I use a wooden dowel. This one's a 3/4 inch wooden dowel. I got it at the craft section of Walmart. You could probably find them just about anywhere. Any hardware store should have them already. You can have them cut down to size. This one is about 12 inches long. And it just helps for me to help make the curls. 1, 2, 3. Where'd my other one go? I'm missing one here. Oh, it fell on the floor. I got it. All right. So I have my 4 colors. So I will show you. You can also use the tube, an empty tube from a mesh, roll of mesh. That's a little bit thicker for me. I like them to be a little thinner. You can also roll these by hand, and I'll show you how to do them by hand too in just a moment. But I like to do this because it gives me a little bit more control and a nicer curl. So I'm going to curl this, and I'm going to clip it. And then I'm going to do my red. Now, if you were going to do these by hand, you just take and fold over your end and then roll it. Trying to keep it as straight so all your ends are straight. But see, this one here is a little, I mean, it's still nice. It's a nice curl, but for me, it just helps to use the wooden dowel. But you don't have to. I do it mostly because, like I said, I have hand issues. And then I want to pull these 2 together, and I want to pinch it right in the center. I want those to stand up. So I'm going to twist this as tight as I can a couple of times. And then I'm going to cut it off. Fold over that end. And there's my curls. So when I put those in, they're going to stand up really nice. Okay? So there's that one. Let me do one more for you. So here's the blue. We're going to do blue and yellow. So I'm going to fold these over and roll them over my dowel. Clip it. To make sure which way I put them. Yellow on the bottom. Pull that dowel right out. And I kind of do a little bit of a crisscross, not too much. And then I bend them in the center to make sure that all of my curls are the same length. And then I'm taking a half a pipe cleaner. I'm going to lay that in the center, and I'm going to pull the sides around. And then I'm going to pinch these, fold them over so they stand up. Put my finger in there and then pinch. And see how it puts that little V indent in there? And that's what I'm going to twist my pipe cleaner with. There we go. Cut that off. Fold the end over. It's not going to be seen once you put these in your ties. So there's how we do the curls. And you'll have some fray, but with it being curled up, that kind of helps eliminate some of that fray. But you can go back and just cut some of these pieces off anywhere that you have the frays. All mesh frays, there's not much you can do about it. So we're going to alternate these colors. So I'm just going to pick one, and I'm going to start right here. I'm going to take this curl, and I'm going to lay it in here. And I'm going to tie my pipe cleaner right where the other pipe cleaner is in the curl. And then I want to spread these out so that they're in like an X pattern. So there's that one. So you see the blue and the yellow. The next one, we're going to put the red and the blue. So I'm going to open that up where my tie is. Put that right down in the tie. And give it a good twist. Make it tight. And then again, I want those ties or curls to stand up. So now you see the curled or colors there and on the bottom. And we'll just keep doing that all the way around, alternating the colors. So altogether you need, if you're using 4 colors, you need 9 pieces of each. So you have 9 curls of each color. So we have 18 ties and we're alternating them. And this is and again, this is an Autism Wreath. Okay, 2 more. See how you end up with some right next to each other? They're the same colors. Really, no matter what you do, it's going to happen. So we're turning these right side up so that when we put the ribbons in, they're going to lay in the middle of them and not cover up our curls. All right, one more. There we go. Now we'll put our ribbons on. Let me cut this off here real quick. And I do go back and I do cut off any loose frays or anything like that before I take pictures of my wreath to post or when I sell my wreath. And all of my wreaths are available for sale. This one is already listed in my Etsy store. You can find that at wreathdecorbydawn.com. And again, that link will be in the description for you. All right, so again, here are my ribbons. I'm using 4 1.5-inch ribbons, and then this autism puzzle ribbon is a 2.5. So that'll be our center. So I'm using this turquoise light blue pattern. I'm using a yellow plaid pattern. I'm using a blue with white polka dots. And I'm using a red and white stripe. So I want to do, because I did the red and light blue together, I'm going to keep that same theme, I think. But I'm going to put the red and light blue in with the blue and yellow, so I'll alternate. So we're going to take our 2.5, a 1.5, the red and the blue. So I have 3 ribbons. Again, these are cut at 14 inches. Find my center. And then I'm going to pinch that up the middle. I'm going to give it some wings so it looks like a bird or whatever you want to call it. And then that's going to go in my tie. And again, I'm putting these, the red and the turquoise, in with the blue and the yellow. So we'll tie those, give it a nice twist. And then we're going to leave the puzzle pattern in the center, but we're going to spread out our red and our turquoise. So you have the puzzle in the center. Hold that up for you. You have the puzzle in the center, and then you got your blue and your red, and then on this side you've got your blue and your red going the opposite direction. And we're going to do that all the way around the wreath. So the next one, we'll use the 2.5. We've got the blue and then the yellow. Find your center. Give it a pinch. And you want to fluff those out. Give them some lift. And then put those in. And give it a couple of twists. And then spread these out. So leave that pattern in the center. We'll do yellow and blue. The yellow on top, the blue on the bottom. And on this side, we'll do it the opposite. We'll do the blue on top and yellow on bottom. So it's kind of like a crisscross pattern. And then just keep alternating those. Let's see, did I do blue? Blue goes on top. Okay. last one. And can you see how big and full that wreath is now? And we still haven't put the sign or the bow on. All right, last one. Okay, let me pull this back forward so that you can see. Going to go ahead and spread these out. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to take these pipe cleaners. I'm going to give them a couple more twists. I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut them down, leaving about 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to fold that over. That has got wire in it and I don't want anyone to get poked by it, so that's going to fold down into the mesh to keep that from happening. And I'm going to do that all along the top because we're going to put our bow and sign on and we won't need these ties. Now if you were going to... Last one. Okay, there we go. And like I said, I do go back after I'm all done and I will fluff out all my ribbons and my mesh and put them exactly where they need to be. There we go. So there's the top. Move this over so I can show you the sign. Here's our sign again. This is a 10 by 10 wooden sign. And it's pretty thick. It's probably a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch or about 1/4 of an inch. And I use the pipe cleaners to tie it onto the wreath on the back. So what I did was I cut off the hanger they had on here. They had a little string on here and I cut that off. And then I stapled the pipe cleaners on and I make sure that I hammer those in so they're nice and tight. They're not going to come off. I used 3 staples, so these will not come off. So we're going to attach this to our wreath. And I want to put it kind of at a little angle right here. I want it to sit right up on top of my mesh. It's kind of a heavy sign, so it is going to have a little bit of a weight to it. So I just want to make sure all my ribbons are laying where they're supposed to. And then I'm going to get out my little needle that I use. This needle is a yarn needle. You can find it in the stores. It also goes by a weaving needle. I got mine at the craft section, or at the craft store in the yarn section. And I'm going to take that and put my pipe cleaner through the end of it because it's just like a extra large sewing needle. And it's going to help me get my pipe cleaners through my mesh. So I'm just going right down straight into my mesh, down to the bottom to the rings of the frame, and that's where I'm going to tie it off. You don't want to tie it off in the mesh. You want to tie it off to the frame. The frame is what's going to hold it on there. So I will just give it a wrap around the frame once or twice, just in case I need to adjust it or move it. I don't have to undo a whole bunch. If I can get the twist to come through, there we go. And then I go to the next one and do that. Go. And one more. So it makes it pretty quick and easy to get these through once you use that needle. You could also use that needle when you're using floral wire to get it through. Floral wire hides really well in a mesh wreath if you use a silver floral wire, 26 gauge. But because this is a heavier sign, I wouldn't use the floral wire on it. The pipe cleaners are a little more sturdy. All right, so that is on there. Now we'll go ahead and put our bow on. So I'm going to fluff my bow just a little bit, not too much, because we'll do that once it's on the wreath. And I do have floral wire on the back here. This is the 26 gauge silver floral wire that I use for the bow. And I'm going to put that right next to my sign. I'm going to put my wires through my needle, bend it over just a little, and we're going to put our, let me see how I want it to look. I want my wreath or my bow to be right here next to it. Yeah. So I'm just making sure of my placement. Well, don't want to twist my wires. All right. Now when you put your bow on, make sure you put it on in the center where your mesh is, not where your ties are. If you put it where your ties are, you're going to pull down on it and it's going to sink down into that tie. But if you put it where the mesh is, where the poof is, it's going to sit up on top of that poof and it's not going to pull it down. So see, if you pull too tight, see how your bow sinks in the center? See that? We don't want to do that. Pull it just enough so that it's tight, but it doesn't make your bow sink into your mesh or your tie. So I'm going to get it where I want it. And then I'm going to put one wire on each side of a ring on the back. And then I'm going to tie them around that ring. And that just gives it more stability. You don't want to just tie it through the mesh. Again, it'll come undone and your bow will fall off. So make sure that you get it on that ring. Give it a couple twists. I'll leave my wire up underneath for now. And now you can fluff your bow. So I did this bow on an Easy Bow Maker. That's what I use. Like I said before, I have trouble with my hands, so I have to use a bow maker. And we're using all the same ribbons that are in our wreath, and then I've added a few extras just to make my bow. And add some more color and pop to it. I put a center in my bow. Now if you had an embellishment of some kind, you could put that in the center of your bow. If you had florals that you were putting on there, you could do that in the center rather than that center loop. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim my tails. I'm going to dovetail these really quick. And I don't do any particular order or anything, size. I want them to be all different lengths. So it doesn't matter how you cut them, but just give them a dovetail. And to do a dovetail, you fold your ribbon in half, take your scissors and go from the outside in a V, in an upward manner, and cut. And that leaves you a little dovetail. Now you can also do it the other way. Some people do it this way. Some people do it this way. Just make sure you've got that V in there. And then so you just want to do a slight angle and cut. Get all those extra pieces out. And there we have it. Now, I did make some puzzle pieces to go with my sign and my ribbons. So let me show you those. I will show you the wreath here in just a moment. All right. Here are the puzzle pieces that I made. So you can buy these in the craft store, in the wood section, like Hobby Lobby, and that has a little section with all the wooden cutouts and that. So what I did was I bought, there was a pack of, I believe you get a pack of 9. And they actually do fit together if you were to make a puzzle, but because I've painted them, they won't fit together anymore. And I just took some of the words off of another autism sign that I had, the cure, love, hope, brave, and then I did one with the 4 colors. And I painted those, wrote the words on there, and then I put some sealer on the top of it. And you can use Mod Podge, you can use a spray sealer, you can use whatever sealer you want. So what I'm going to do is I was going to glue them together in a pattern and then put pipe cleaners on the back. But I think I'm going to do 2 together instead of 4. I'll do 2 here, do this one here off to the side, and then maybe put 2 more up at the top. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So first I want to check my placement, and I use Gorilla Glue in my glue gun. I'm going to put a dab on here, and let's just put this on here real quick. Yeah, so I need some on the top of that. Right up here. Not too much. And I'm going to glue those together. And we're going to hold that for a second. Get those glue strings off of there. So we'll put those on there like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stapler. And I got this at Lowe's. It's just an arrow stapler, and it takes multiple sizes of staples. So you want to get one of those if you use wooden signs. So I just want to make sure that's on there real good. And then I'm going to staple on a pipe cleaner, and that's what we're going to use to tie it on. So I want to go right where I stapled those 2 together, because if that staple goes through, it's going to hold those in place. Let me make that a little smaller. So all I'm doing is folding over the end of the pipe cleaner a couple of times, making a little pad that I'm going to staple to, putting that right on my wood, and then I'm going to give it a staple. I'm going to do 2 of them, and then you can take a little hammer and make sure they're on there, and they're not going to come off. Give that a pull. They're not going anywhere. So see, it doesn't come through your wood, but it goes through, so that glue and those staples are going to hold those together, because these are not very thick at all. Alright, so we're going to put this through. Where's my needle? And I'm going to go right in my tie here, and I'm going to put this down through there. So we'll put this right here, so we've got those puzzle pieces. Now again, don't pull too tight, because you don't want it to sink down into your tie. Well, let's go this direction. There we go. Get my needle off of there, and then again I'm going to wrap that around a ring on the frame. Alright, now this one, because it's thin, I'm going to take a piece of cardboard. I saved these pieces from my ribbon rolls when I'm done. And I'm going to put 2 pieces. I just cut them in little pieces. I'm going to take 2 pieces and put them together. Put a little glue in between. Just a dab, it'll spread out. Lay that on there. Don't push too hard. I learned that from watching Amanda from Hazy's Heart and Home. And now we're going to take our pipe cleaner, do the fold again at the end, lay that right on top, and staple. And when we staple through there, that glue will help it hold on. There we go. Hammer those pieces down, and that won't come off. All right, so we're going to put this one in. I think I'm going to set this one right over here. Go right straight down in through the mesh. Turn it the way I want it before I tie it off. Give it a couple of twists, and there. Then I'm going to do the same with these 2. Let's see which one I want. This way. And then we're going to put that right up here at the top. And I want to make sure my words are going that direction because that's the bottom. So we're going to give that a twist around the frame. So that is on there. And I can always adjust it if I need to. I don't want it to fall down in there. I want it to stand up nice. And there is our wreath. There we go. There's our puzzle pieces. And then the back of the wreath, I'll show you that. We'll just tie down all of our ties, everything we put on there. We'll take our ties and we'll wrap them around the frame and we will clip them off, tuck those in, and nobody's going to see anything, any unfinished wires or anything like that. So, but there's our completed wreath. I will post a picture of the wreath in its final stage. Okay. Don't forget also hit that bell icon and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can keep up to date with any new videos that I post and any lives that I do. So again, thank you. My name is Dawn and this is Wreath Decor by Dawn. Have a nice day.